In this section, we'll cover what makes a business plan a business plan. Most small to medium-sized business owners have heard of a business plan and they know that they should have one and it's important to have one in place. But they're often unaware of what actually goes into the document and how they should be using it to help themselves and help their business. This section will be all about providing you with an overview of what a business plan is and what goes into a business plan and how to use it. So what is a business plan? A business plan is a formal written document containing business goals, the methods on how these goals can be attained, and the time frame within which these goals need to be achieved. It also goes into information around the nature of the business, background information on the organization's financial projections, and the strategies it intends to implement to achieve its stated targets. In its entirety, this document serves as a roadmap or a blueprint that provides you with direction for your business. In its purest sense, a business plan will always address the following key areas. Number one, it's going to identify aims and objectives for the business. Number two, it's going to set out your sales and marketing activities. Number three, it's going to set a time frame against your goals and when you should be achieving them. And number four, and perhaps most importantly, it's going to outline your expected financial returns. So when we put effort into putting together a business plan, they should always answer these four areas. When thinking of aims and objectives in your business, it's often very easy to overlook this, and it can be a critical mistake that small to medium-sized business owners make. It's very important that you have direction and you are working towards an end goal, and you need to be very specific in what those aims and what those objectives are. If you're not, you can find yourself getting roped into the day-to-day activity of a business. What you'll find is you'll tend to work as hard as you can for as long as you can, but if you're not heading towards a goal or a destination, it can be easy to lose motivation and essentially give up. Looking at your sales and marketing activity in a business, it's really important to plan this against what your goals are. So you need to work backwards from the end goal. So essentially begin with the end in mind. If your aim, for example, within this business over a 12-month period is to achieve £100,000 net profit, you need to work backwards considering what your sales and marketing strategy is going to be in order to achieve that £100,000 target. Number four, we did just mention it there, is it needs to have a time frame associated to it. If it doesn't, it's not a business plan. Typically, a business plan will be first written over a 12-month period. Beyond that, you'd be looking at 3 and 5 years for a business plan. What we recommend doing in this module is focusing on developing your knowledge of what a business plan is. Think of what it is that you are going to achieve within the next 12 months and have the end goal of this module or the Trade University Accelerator to have a business plan produced for the next 12 months. Beyond that, then you can start looking at working out a 3-year business plan or a 5-year business plan. And this really depends on what your exit strategy for the business is going to be and what direction you want to be taking the business in as a whole. We'll be covering this in a little bit more detail in Module 12, Exit Strategy, but for the time being, what you want to focus on for this module is developing a 12-month business plan. And number four, as I said, perhaps most importantly, it outlines what your expected financial returns can be. So if you're going to set a target, again, to achieve £100,000 net profit, you would set out what you're going to do in order to achieve it. It's going to be set out over the 12-month period. And then number four is going to show you that you can actually achieve that £100,000 net profit over the 12-month period if you stick to your sales and marketing strategy. So all in all, what it does is provide you with written confirmation, and it checks that your business idea that you have and what you're doing actually makes sense and that your objectives are achievable in the long run. That's what a business plan is. It's committing your thoughts and your ideas for the business to paper and it's fact checking them and making sure that you are able to achieve them, and it's providing you with a step-by-step blueprint in order to achieve those targets. When we're thinking about putting together a business plan, target audience is also a key consideration. There's two key groups here that we need to think about. Number one is internal stakeholders, and number two is external stakeholders. So a stakeholder is somebody that has some type of interest within your business. That might be an employee, a customer, a senior manager. It can be anybody that has some kind of interest within your business. Managers are a key stakeholder in your business. They're a key internal stakeholder in your business. You may have many of them. You may have only yourself who is the manager at the moment. But what a business plan does is target that audience. So it gives managers within the business a blueprint and a direction, and they know if they're achieving their targets or if they're not achieving their targets. So when you're thinking about putting a business plan together, it's really important to consider internal stakeholders. And also external stakeholders are people outside of the business. So lenders, suppliers, venture capitalists if you're looking for funding. When you're putting together a business plan, you should always think about what you are trying to achieve with that business plan. Usually, and for the purposes of this module, we'll be thinking about writing an internal business plan so that we can use it for ourselves to achieve our targets. But when you do write the business plan, you want to also think about the external stakeholders, so the lenders, as I said, or venture capitalists, or anybody outside that might be looking at your business and have some kind of interest in it. So you want the document to be very professional, you want it to be well presented, and you want it to be able to be understood by somebody that doesn't know the detail within your business. So it needs to be a thorough and robust document for somebody to be able to look at what it is that you're doing and what it is that you're planning on doing, so that they can make a decision about whether or not they want to work with you moving forward. Perhaps most importantly, what a business plan is going to do is provide you with focus, and it's going to make you think big. That's not to say that we are telling you that your aims should be to grow your company, but even if you're a small company and your aims and objectives are to stay small and have organic and steady growth, you should always be thinking as a big company. You should be putting together a formal business plan document. You should be considering the business as an overview. You should be looking at every individual component within your business and working on your business, as opposed to being a resource or a technician or an engineer working within your business. What will happen if you do that is that you'll find yourself not as a business owner, you'll find yourself as an employee that happens to be yourself as a boss. A very good business plan is going to provide you with lots of focus, and it's going to be your map to success. So let's just quickly recap on what a business plan is. A business plan is a formally written document. It needs to look professional. We want it to be well presented, and we want internal and external stakeholders to be able to read it and understand it. Number two, it's going to illustrate your targets, your strategy for achieving those targets, the time scale against achieving those targets, and finally is going to illustrate what financial return you can expect over that period of time. And number three, it's going to provide you with focus on your business. It's going to make you think big as a big business, and it's going to provide you with direction. So you know when you're working hard, you know which direction you're going, and you're much more likely to achieve all those important goals that you've set for yourself. So, what are the key things to consider when writing a business plan? Number one, let's keep it short. Don't write more than what's necessary, especially when it comes to the executive summaries and the company overview. Keep it short, keep it concise, and get straight to the point. When we're looking at detail, we want to provide a lot of detail, but again, we do want to get straight to the point. All the detail that we do provide needs to be within the body of the business plan, and we want to include any information or any additional spreadsheets or anything or any outside information in an appendix on the business plan. Number 3, especially with our projections, we want to keep this very, very conservative and based on reality. It's important that you underestimate. It's important that you're factual in your estimations and don't try to achieve something that's beyond your capability. Whilst we want to stretch ourselves, if we start considering unrealistic metrics within our business plan, say a gross profit margin that is not likely to be achieved, we'll start going down the route of believing that we're in a better position than what we are. So it's always better to be conservative. Just go a little bit underneath the numbers that you genuinely think you can achieve. So when you've overachieved, it leaves us in a good situation. If we're consistently underachieving on those metrics, we need to really think about readjusting our plan and readjusting what the business actually looks like and is able to achieve. Point 4 is making the business plan professional. Make sure that the language that you're using is professional. Make sure that you're putting it into a professional format and document. Again, we've included a business plan template for you within this module that you can download. So that's a good place to start. It's a professional looking template and you can use it and tailor it for your own organization. Include a logo on it. Make sure that it's a document that you can be proud of presenting. If anybody was to have a look at it, make sure that, again, it's professional and it's really well written and it comes across as a formal document. This is not only for your audience's benefit, this is for your own benefit. You're likely to treat it with more respect and refer back to it often if you know that it's a well thought through and professional piece of information that you've put together here. Number 5, when you're writing a business plan, a lot of the time it will be for internal purposes. We've already spoken about internal stakeholders. We've already spoken about using it to gauge our own success and creating a step-by-step map towards our end goals. However, whilst business plans are very useful when pitching and trying to get investment, they're not always necessarily aimed at that audience. That said, consider writing the business plan as if you were going to pitch it. This feeds back into point 4 slightly. It's going to force you into making sure that that business plan is as professional as it possibly can be, and you're going to make sure that it makes sense. It's a little trick that you can play on yourself. Always consider that somebody else is going to be reading what it is that you're putting together. So you're going to want to be thorough in your detail and you're going to want to make sure that everything that you're putting together makes sense. And then step 6, we're going to want to review our business plan. So once we've written a business plan, it's not to be shelved. We do want to schedule in monthly review meetings, and that might be just a monthly brainstorming session that you have for yourself, but at least refer back to it every month. Make sure that your actual targets versus your projected targets are where they need to be, and then readjust as you're going along. So it's not a one-time document that you're putting together and that's it for the rest of time. This really is an ongoing document that you need to be using on a month-to-month basis to rework where you are as a business and change direction if something isn't quite adding up or making sense. Very much use this as your basis for making decisions about what you're going to do and how you're going to go forward. So it's all important to make sure that you write your business plan with the intention of reviewing it time and again. So just a quick recap on how to write a business plan. Number 1, we want to make sure that we keep it short and concise. We want to get to the point as quickly as we can, whilst still focusing on the detail. Don't pad it out with overcomplicated language or any extra adjectives. You just don't need to do that. The key is to get to the point and illustrate your aims and objectives at each section of that business. Number 2, make it professional. We want to put all of our effort into making sure that the language is correct, making sure that it's a professionally put together and formally written document. After all, this is going to be a document that represents you and your company. And as we say, you're going to want to refer back to this on a monthly basis. So everything that you've put together and written down is professional, and it's a place where you can really make decisions and create a foundation of your business from. And number 3, when writing the business plan, really consider that this is going to be ultimately pitched at an external stakeholder. Again, it might not be that you need funding right now, but a good trick to play on yourself is to consider that at some point you will be pitching this document out. It will really help you with making sure that the information you put in is considered, robust, and it's all of the correct information that you want to have in your business plan.